We're going to take notes on monomials and polynomials, adding and subtracting notes. Content objective A.2b. The students will perform operations on polynomials for adding and subtracting. The language objective for this is students will justify steps in performing operations on adding and subtracting polynomials using target vocabulary. Looks like I misspelled subtracting. Again, if you need to pause the video to finish writing down the notes. Vocabulary. A monomial is a constant, a variable, or the product of a constant and one or more variables. So in example number 1, 5 is all by itself. It is a monomial. 7y, 7 times y, that one is also a monomial because it's 7 times y. So if it's multiplication altogether, it's okay. It is still considered just a monomial. And then 4xy, which is 4 times x times y, is also considered a monomial. Again, if you need to pause the video to write this stuff down, go ahead and do so. A polynomial is an expression of 2 or more terms. An example of that would be 5x plus 3y minus 7b plus x squared. This has 4 terms in the polynomial, so a term is separated by each addition or subtraction. So because there's some pluses and minuses here, that separates the terms. It is a 4 term. So it's 2 or more terms. This one has 4, so it would be considered a polynomial. A binomial is a polynomial of 2 terms. So again, this is 5x squared minus 7x, where the 2 terms are 5x squared and the 7x. Again, it is separated by the subtraction of that there. So it is a 2-term and is specifically called a binomial. A trinomial is a polynomial of 3 terms. So again, when you look at the polynomial there, in this case a trinomial, you see the 3 separate terms there of 3y to the cubed plus 5y plus 45. Again, the plus and minus is there to separate the terms. Again, if you need to pause the video, make sure you do so before the next slide comes up. Polynomials can be added and subtracted by combining like terms. So here are some examples. Okay, so example, we'll start out with a simple one. All right. So if I had, let's say, 5x plus 7 plus 9x minus 10, then what you would do is you would find the like terms. So in this particular example, the 5x and the 9x are like terms. So 5x plus 9x is a total of 14x. Then we have the constants of 7 and minus 10. Notice when I look at those, in particular the subtraction one, I circle and include the minus in with the subtraction. So subtractions are just another way of saying every subtraction is the same thing as adding a negative. So when you see subtractions, I always just think of them as negative. So when I circle my like terms, I've got a positive 7 right here and my negative 10 over there. So together that makes a negative 3. And so we're going to add a negative 3 to this, or you can just say it's a minus 3. Okay. Or if you wanted to, you could also end up with 14x plus a negative 3. Okay. Either one works. Another example is when you don't have a lot of like terms. Okay, so example number 2 here would be, let's say we had 3y squared plus 5 plus maybe 7x plus 10 and plus, maybe keep it simple, plus maybe we'll go with 8. Okay, so when I look at this problem, so 3y squared plus 5 plus 7x plus 10 plus 8. Nothing too hard here. So I would have to combine any like terms. So I see my like terms as being the plus 5, plus 10, and plus 8. The 3y squared and the 7x are not like terms, so we can't really do anything with them. So you're just going to keep them the way they are. 3x squared plus 7x. And then you would combine the three numbers. 15 plus 8 is 23. And that would be your simplified answer. So this would be the answer for the problem. Okay. Now, another example would be if we had parentheses. So let's take the original one we had earlier, and I'm going to put a parentheses around both of those from the first one. And we will see that sometimes you have to distribute the polynomials. So if I had 5x plus 7 minus the quantity 9x minus 10, then before you could combine like terms, you would have to distribute the subtraction out. So it would become 5x plus 7 minus 9x, because that's essentially a negative there. So a negative times a positive is still negative or subtraction. And a minus with a minus or a negative with negative makes it a positive 10. So then we would then, after that, look for our like terms here. We've got our 5x and our negative 9x. We got negative, let's see, I made a mistake there. That would be a negative 4x. And then we've got our plus 7 and our plus 10. So that's plus 17. So that would be our final answer there. Let's get off that. So we got our final answer there of negative 4x plus 17. That's positive 17. Some more examples. Another example of doing that same problem is to do this, what we call the stack method, or lining it up. So I'm going to give a couple examples of those. All right. So if I had the same problem of 5x plus 7 minus the 9x minus the 10, what you can do is do a stack here. So we could take the original 5x plus 7 and subtract, line up the parts, 9x minus 10. And so when you read this, it's 5x, so I'd follow the 5x minus the 9x is a negative 4x. And again, I could do 7 minus negative 10. So minus the negative 10 is plus 10. So we would end up with positive 17. That's another way. What if they don't have all like terms and you do the stack method? Well, you would have things like, let's say, back to one of those problems here, we would have maybe 3y squared, let's say, plus 7. And maybe I say minus 5. And then maybe the other one is, put that in a bracket, minus, we'll change that to an x. And we'll say minus 10x plus 6. So if I was to stack that underneath, I would line up the parentheses here. I would say a minus 10x and a minus 6 And so I only line up the like terms. So this doesn't have a like term. And then that would be 3x, and that'd be negative 11. So 7 minus 10 is negative 3, and negative 5 and negative 6 makes negative 11. So that's the stack method as well. Some practice problems. All right. Number 1. Name these particular items. Okay. So 5x plus 2. What is that called? Number 2. 5x plus 3y plus 7z. What is that called? Number 3. 7 plus 10y plus 8y squared plus 5. And then we will practice a couple of combining like terms. 5x squared plus 7 plus 9y plus a negative 10y and minus 4x squared. Combine like terms in number 4 there. And one more, number 5. What is 3x, negative 3x, minus 9, minus 2x plus 10? Combine like terms, simplify those. That's the end of the notes. Thanks.